Hey folks, Chaz here, and I am going to finish turn this natural edge bowl that I rough turned quite a while back. This is Chinaberry. It's 17 inches on the long side and about 14 and a half crossways here. And I turned it to about probably 1 3/4 thick because I really didn't know how much it was going to move, and put it on the shelf where it has been for over a year drying. Chinaberry is kind of interesting. It's beautiful wood. It's in the mahogany family. It's an invasive species here in Texas, but you used to see them all the time, I guess, in nurseries and whatnot. People would plant them around their homes, and then they would just take over. The wood is somewhat soft, tears out pretty easily on the end grain, but I'm going to give this one a shot. The bark seems to have really held on to it quite well. There's no sign of it trying to delaminate, and as you can see, the sapwood there is very thin, just probably 1/4 of an inch of color there before you get into the hardwood. So let me get this thing set up on the lathe here, and we'll try to finish turning it. Okay, so I've got the tin cleaned up, trued up, and so I just got to spin it around, get it in the chuck, and get ready to turn it. one side of the bowl would actually hit the banjo here, so I've got to turn it sideways. Flip the banjo in behind, and then I can rotate the bowl. I'm going to bring the tailstock up if I can, and leave that in place, at least while I turn the outside. I'm not going to have enough quill travel, so I'll have to put a spacer. Don't need much. Alright, so I've got the outside turned, and I've gotten the surface as smooth as I can. I've been able to shear scrape this area so it's nice and smooth, ready for sandpaper. Really don't have much luck when I try to shear scrape you know, the wings on a bowl that has an interrupted cut here like this one, so I will just go ahead and deal with sanding on that side, this side. So I got this as smooth as possible, and now I will move around and haul it out. I just wanted to explain why I'm kind of taking this down a little at a time, and then obviously you can see that I've got steps here, and my finished thickness of about 5/8 of an inch is here, and rather than just trying to take this all out at once, take it down in steps so that I can leave the mass in here to support the cut. so I don't get a lot of vibration and chatter. And then once I have, for the most part, the entire bowl, if I haven't lost the roundness, then I can go back and make a couple of real fine cuts to make sure that my line is good on the inside. But these last few cuts that I make here, I try to get those as clean as possible, so that if I'm not able to go back, that at least I don't have much sanding to do there. So anyway, that's it. Okay, so it is turned and sanded to 320 grit on the inside, and so I think I will leave it at that, because I do more sanding as I oil it throughout the finishing process. So 320 is going to be good for my purposes there on the inside. So now I need to take it off the chuck, reverse chuck it, turn the foot off or turn the tenon off, and then sand the outside. So I'll get busy on that right now. So I've turned enough of the foot there that I can go ahead and sand the outside of the bowl. I'm going to leave that little stub there on the bottom of the bowl while I sand, and then I'll end up last thing knocking that off and sanding the foot in. So go to time lapse, we'll get it sanded up. Okay, so bowl's turned and sanded. The only thing left to do really is to finish the bottom here. The little nub is still hanging on the bottom here, so you're not able to turn that all the way off, obviously. So I just turn it so that I've got a nice thick groove here, and because it's cross grain, you can take something like just a skew and just give it a good little wrap, and it comes right off. And as you can see, there's very little damage to the wood, so I can just sand that down. And so I'll get that sanded down, get an oil, some oil on the sky. Got it sanded at 320 now, but throughout the finishing process, that'll actually get sanded back down to 400 or possibly even 600.
Alright, well, I am anxious to see what this thing looks like with a little oil on it. So I've got my Danish oil here. This is a very light wood and it's very porous, so it's going to just soak this stuff up. What really makes that Chinaberry color just pop. But it's very pretty wood. It's light. It tends to tear out really wicked on the end grain. So you have a couple of options there. You can have extremely sharp tools and take really light cuts, or you can spend a little extra time sanding, which is what I had to do. So that's what it looks like on the inside. Got this really pretty yellow sapwood. Put a coat of Danish oil on. I will let it sit for about 15 minutes or so. Whatever oil has not soaked into the wood at that point I'll wipe off. And then the next coat of oil I will put on using 400 grit sandpaper, and basically just sand it as I oil it. With a porous wood like this, the advantage to that is that the sanding slurry that you create with the 400 grit sandpaper will start to fill in the holes, the pores of the wood. And so every time you do that, it becomes a little smoother. So I'll do that a couple of times with 400 grit. I may even, depending on how things are going, I may even go to a 600 grit and do it again. So this bowl is pretty big. It's 17 inches by about 14 inches. So it's really more of a decorative piece than the functional piece. It'd be awfully hard to fill that up with fruit. But if you have a really big dining room table or something like that, a bowl like this looks really nice sitting in the center of it. So I don't know if you have any Chinaberry near where you live, but if you do, and you have an opportunity to turn some, give it a shot. Natural Edge Chinaberry bowl. There it is. And thanks for watching.